There we go. Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, joined by Miguel Porter. Miguel, what's up?
Just a fall weather type of day.
Yeah, it's weird because it's not officially summer yet.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I think it'll do the flip flop where we think we're getting all the fall weather, and then we have a couple weeks that are like hitting mid to high 80s again, and then it'll swing back and forth.
Yeah, there's always a flip flop. It's just kind of like when winter is supposedly going away and we get some nice warm days when really it's 60, not 30,
Yeah,
and everyone's going out with their t-shirts and shorts on, and then everybody gets sick.
right.
Like there's always a little flip flop thing. You can't trust what nature's doing out there. But then again, I don't know, maybe you can't trust like our calendar either of like, nope, on this day we're claiming that summer is now gone.
Yeah.
It's because then a couple weeks after that it could be up in the 90s again. We've had
Mhm.
crazy weather like that happen in past years where it'll be winter's done and mid-April we'll have some snow or something like that.
Yeah.
But we were just talking about the class you taught today with handstands, freestanding handstands. Was this your first? This isn't your first time teaching freestanding handstands, right?
No, last week's class was also freestanding handstands as well.
As I mean, you're coming across a lot of things that maybe you haven't coached before. When you see these new exercises, do you get a little nervous? What do you think or are you like, oh, that's a new challenge? I can't wait to teach that thing for the first time. What do you think when these like odd exercises, and when I say odd, I mean things that aren't regularly programmed when they pop up?
Yeah. Um, yeah, it is interesting. I always question what like I follow the lesson plan for the most part, but I like to make tweaks here and there. But I always like to see what they give me in terms of like a general warm up, even before the like specific, here's the skill that I haven't really seen. What do they give me in the general warm up to like get them ready or
Yeah.
like bodies ready for this? So um, yeah, today was actually a lot of, I would say, for our general warm up, it was a lot of just basic stretching, I would say, honestly. A lot of running because that was a part of the workout, but no like real shoulder work. But we went into two separate pieces of specific warm up for the handstands that did a lot of shoulder specific stuff. So, yeah, it always works out, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting to see like what they put in to like prime that.
Yeah, and part of it might be like, hey, this is going to be such a shoulder intensive practice and then session in the workout where it's like we don't need to, keep hammering away at that and get you too much pre-fatigue before we dive into those things, especially with a freestanding handstand where people might be trying a lot or they may not know what it's like to be in that position when they're tired. Being in a handstand is one of the most precarious things to be tired and trying to do at high intensity, and that's when you see people really start to break positions or it'll affect them negatively for the next exercise because breathing upside down is harder,
Yeah.
and a lot of people end up just holding their breath or not even realizing that they are holding their breath because they're upside down, and this is such a big intense thing on the day that maybe they haven't done in weeks or months
Yeah.
because it's not like that stuff pops up all the time anyways if you're not doing a regular program.
Yeah.
I like what you said there. You look at the lesson plan, but you're making tweaks. The Whenever you get like a lesson plan or some of these online programs, like CrossFit has a program. There's CompTrain. I think CompTrain's still around. I don't even know, but
Yeah.
there's all they are.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's all these programs, but whenever you get that stuff as a gym or a coach, it's only like 70% done. Like you still know your people, you still know who's coming to class, your gym. They may program something that you just can't do. Hey, there's not enough space to do this. We can't do a 40-yard dash,
Yeah.
in the WOD room in December. So you just have to make changes because it's not all the way done. It's just to give you a blueprint of how you could run this class. And some days you might just be like, I'm just going to throw all this away because I've got 3 people fresh out of on ramp and I need to teach them about, shoulder stability and getting better push-ups before we even get on the wall. So you may have to just change things completely.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And I think my latest challenge has been, it's just happened a few times where, they'll give you this whole drawn out progression for something, and then you have nobody in your class doing that movement, and you kind of have to on the fly like figure out like, oh, nobody's doing chest to bars today, or just for an example, or everyone's going with this option instead of this. But I had this whole thing planned out and it was going to be really cool. And we were going to do this progression and this. And then I was going to show you guys this. This is another thing you can do. And everyone's like, yeah, actually, like I tore my hand or something. So I actually can't get up on the pull up bar. And then, you're like, well, all right.
Yeah.
Um, Instead of us completing class 10 minutes earlier than I thought, like what else can I do to, keep us warmed up and progress in a way that makes sense for who's in class right now.
Yeah. There's a lot of challenges in some of the stuff you just said there. Like one, let's say it's strict muscle up day and your entire class comes in and they're like, we don't have pull-ups or dips. Well, then, your mission now is just to go through a progression as far as you can and then spend more time at, maybe if there's 5 steps, you can only get class through 3 steps. And we are in a situation where they're just no one's progressing to step 4 and definitely not step 5, which might be the strict muscle up. Then you just got to hammer away maybe a little extra time on the steps you can to get them that practice to build up their base. Or I think it's good to know too, what is below the progression, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have let's stick with the muscle up example, you've got 5 steps for a strict muscle up, and step number 1 might be practicing like supports on the ring and getting ready with the ring. Well, what's below that? Well, maybe we can go to the pull-up bar. Maybe we can go down to the floor and do hollow body and Superman drills and practice those shapes that we're trying to see for the gymnastics. And then now you can just build steps below the progression that are it's now the progression for this group of people, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's definitely something to think about. And then it might be like, okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to practice supports off a box and dips off of a box. And we're going to work our way up to eventually a scaled muscle up on the rings. Like if that's step number 5, you got to have, then it doesn't have to be 5 steps. I'm just using it as a number, but what am I going to do beneath that instead of just be like, all right, guys, we're just going to practice transitions on the rings and that's it. Can I bring more value? Do I have things in my back pocket like the boxer pose progression where you literally could spend all your time on that because you're going to have them pause at different pieces. And then you're just going to spend a solid 12 minutes on making everyone as really good at those pieces as you can. Have you thought about anything like that? That if you have like this, let's say a rope climb, the rope climb is, you got all these progressions for a rope climb, but step number 1, hanging from the rope, 3 people come to class, no one's hanging from the rope. Yeah. Where do you go? How do you build down below that? Do you think about your progressions in that way?
Yeah. And I think some of it is also kind of like archive, really. Like I've done a good amount of CrossFit classes as well. So I think back to like, I wouldn't say I didn't have rope climbs, but I never knew like the hooks or anything. So I remember the first time I finally like got my rope climb and like what I was able to use in a progression to build my confidence to like actually get it. So I would like go through those steps and, pick pieces from like, oh yeah, one time I've done this and this. And even in barbell club, I think I had some like handstand push-ups programmed in classes I was teaching for a while around the same time we were doing like our handstand work in barbell club. So I would mix in progression that they gave me for the lesson plan and stuff we were doing in barbell club and my specific stuff that I was doing as well, and try to integrate that into class as well.
Yeah. And you can start to make your own progressions because there's a lot of movements that don't have them. Maybe handstand push-ups are coming up in a future Sunday workout and your regular people that come and you're like, well, we're not quite there yet. And maybe they're not even ready to get on the wall. You're like, you know what? I'm going to come in with a solid progression on just the box handstand push-up. And I have all these things that I'm going to do to like like get them more comfortable in the box and build their awareness there. Like it could be, hey, just getting up and down off the box. There's good and bad ways to do that. Like you see some people just kind of belly flop and lay down on the box.
Mm-hmm.
Other people come off at an angle. Like you can show them the way to get on and off quickly and efficiently. And that's step one. And then step two is like, hey, we're going to kind of do downward dogs on the box. You'll start flat and then you'll pike up. Well, now you're teaching them to push their head through, and then practicing getting it. Like, so there's so much you can do to like build on that stuff and still make it hard or challenging for people. And really what you're doing is you're making them more aware of like just how to move their body, right?
Yeah.
Versus you could easily just I think it's the easy way out where it's just like, all right, no one's got a handstand push-up, grab your boxes, here's the knee handstand push-up, do 5,
Mm-hmm.
But like if you can build your own progressions, and that's not a bad thing to do with, if you have the lesson plan for, let's say, CAP, think to yourself, what are my scaling options? And do I have any progressions for the scaling options?
Mm-hmm.
And could I use them on the fly? And would it make sense if I had a mixed group? Because that's a challenge too.
Yeah.
What do you do if you have a 4-person class, 3 people? I'll use the extreme example again. 3 people, it's their first class out of on-ramp, and they don't even remember the box handstand push-up. And another person is a drop-in who you don't know, and let's just say they're like a semi-final athlete or a quarterfinals athlete, and they have really good handstand push-ups. How do you meet both of their needs and challenge them and give them all equal attention? Are you just going to have the semi-final athlete, quasi-games athlete, just stand there and watch you spend all your time coaching the 3 people in essentially an impromptu on-ramp? Like, how do you lead and control that class? That's a challenge, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, I even think, again, this is like kind of archives or like anecdotal of like what happens when I'm in class, like sometimes I am the only person that can do, the muscle up in class, and how do I occupy my time? And what stuff do I work on to get it there? Because yeah, as you said, some people aren't even going off the high rings. What are the steps that they're doing while I'm like, do I just practice my ring muscle ups? Because that's the other thing where sometimes if they know that they have the final step, they don't want to like waste them. So what does that athlete do in that time? Like, what would you do anyway if you came in by yourself and you saw you had ring muscle ups? What would you do to warm yourself up for that? Yeah, it's tough and it's athlete dependent. I think the drop in would be easier though, because I feel like they are more receptive to you like telling them something and they're like, all right, I'll try that. But
that's a painful truth. It's painful that is the kind of like the reality that
yeah,
unless they're like a complete asshole, which we don't run into a whole lot of that, really anymore these days. That used to be a thing back in the day, but now most drop-ins are like really respectful and open to feedback. But it's funny that like if you had the mixed group and it was maybe like someone who's been a member for a while, we'll just say Mike, Mike's in class with you, you might get a little bit of like tougher love,
yeah,
is to say. But yeah, it's you have to think on your feet a lot more, right? You have to be able to audible and change your game plan. I'll use myself as an example. Amir recently has been having some foot pain, so jumping and especially doing double unders has not been working at all, and even some running. And he came in and it was a big double under day, so of course I'm going to take the class through double under progression. But what does Amir do? So does he sit there and watch us? Does he hop on a bike for 10 minutes while I'm coaching the rest of class and he's getting no coaching at all or instruction? Or can he still be a part of this group? And what I had him do, and this is on the fly, I was like, well, hey, it was the double under wall ball workout that we did a couple weeks ago. Can't remember specifically, but I just remembered that open workout that was wall balls and calorie rowing. So he was just going to add calories every round instead of double unders and wall balls every round.
yeah.
He was going to add do, it might've been like 5 wall balls, 5 calorie, 10, something like that. And they were doing a similar thing with the double unders and wall balls where they add 5 wall balls and add 15 double unders.
Yeah.
So what I did is everybody got in a circle with their jump ropes, and Amir's there with his rower. And all right, we're going to do 20 seconds of single unders, just kind of start to get used to our rope. And Amir, you're just going to do a light row. And then the next step, or we're going to do double unders, and we're trying to spin the rope, or excuse me, single unders. We're trying to spin the rope a little quicker. And Amir, what I want you to do is focus on the return of your hands quicker. So like, all right, we're all working on our hands right now, you know.
Yeah.
The next one, let's do some single unders, and we're trying to get a more powerful jump. Amir, drive harder with your legs now. But I still want speed with the rope, and I still want a fast return with the hands.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just kind of like layering it in, and like a little bit of it is like you give a quick cue here, and then like in the back of your head, you're like, what am I going to do for him on the next one?
Yeah.
You know. And you know, when I kind of ran out of things that were like double under rowing specific, then it's like, all right, Amir, I just want you to focus on your breathing for this next set. Like keep all those other things, you know, breathe out when you pull, breathe in when you come back in, because we're going to get pretty gassed on this workout. It was only like a 7-minute workout. And so I was able to go through every interval with him and them in the class. He's working on what he needs to do to perform well in this workout with rowing. They're working on what they need to do to perform well with the double unders. And we're not doing jumping, so I couldn't keep like the movement function the same, you know, and that's part of the goal with scaling. Like, can you keep movement patterns the same? Can you keep the stimulus and stuff the same? But for me, I was just like, well, hey, monostructural, even though one of them's a little more gymnastic-y, close enough, right?
Yeah.
He's and he has no foot pain. So yeah, that's kind of how I did it, just layering it in like that and using what the group was doing for their single unders as the basis to guide me to what he should be doing on a completely different implement. Yeah. Like he can still work on his hands. He can't jump, but he can still work on his leg push. Everybody should be breathing. You know, everybody should have good posture. So it's just if you know one thing well enough, you can kind of transfer it to other things.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I would have done if it was a different scenario. You know, they kind of you have to just roll with the punches as they come. I kind of like lucked out, if there is a lucking out in that situation, that it was trading in a jump rope for a rower, you know, kind of like 1-to-1. But that's kind of how you have to think about it. And if you're looking at those lesson plans for CAP, think to yourself, all right, we're jump roping. Do I have anything in the back of my head that makes sense if someone can't jump rope?
Yeah.
What am I going to do with them? Or someone can't run, which of course then we default to other machines. Or if someone can't, they can't squat today, and we're doing that's pretty much the whole premise of class. Mm-hmm. What in the world can we do? You know. So good things to think about, and then maybe write down in the lesson plan. I don't know. Do you write things down, or do you plot out any kind of elements for your class on paper?
Yeah, I have to write everything down. I have no problem like remembering it, but yeah, if I'm gonna make like tweaks, I need to like see it on paper so then I can like make the tweaks there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need it all laid out. I think I have probably in my notebook every class that I've done so far, like fully written.
That's good. Like you want to do stuff like that. And plus you'll enjoy looking back at that in a few years when you just like happen to like go back to the beginning, or you're on notebook number 5 and then you're like, what did I do back in that day? Like, cause you'll start to remember weird things where you'll have like an athlete that has a problem and you haven't had this problem with someone in a while. And when I say problem, it's not like they're doing anything bad. It's just they're having a learning issue, or they can't quite get a movement, or they're stuck on a progression piece. So then you go back and you're like, you start to look at like what you did before and what was successful. And you're like, oh, wow. And then sometimes you look back at stuff like that and you're like, I can't believe that worked. Like, because Miguel today would never, it's like, if you like consult yourself, you're like, what were you thinking? And like, how did that even work? You know, you wish you could talk to yourself. And it's funny, like it all works, right? Yeah. People just have to put in the right amount of effort for it. Cool stuff to think about. So yeah, hang on to that notebook. You're gonna really enjoy looking back. Do you ever write yourself notes for the future or like write back into it on like how things went? Like, yep, completely blew my timeline today, you know, or that failed.
No, I haven't done that yet. No.
Okay, yeah, that'd be something to kind of like layer in and start to add. Like if you, because you don't have the luxury of doing back-to-back classes.
Yeah.
It is a luxury to be able to do back-to-back classes because like there's the million times where it's like this class made me want to leave today. Like this class was like everybody was crazy. Was it me? Was it them? The workout had problems. Like the warm up didn't go well. And then the next class, you just make a couple adjustments and everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's beautiful. You're like, oh, all right, good. We're still in this. Like, but it does suck when you teach like one class and things don't go well or the way you wanted to. And especially for you, you don't have another opportunity until next week,
Right.
on next
Yeah.
Sunday. And the workout may not even be anything close to what you did this week, which we have had a couple back-to-back weeks now of freestanding or handstand
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that is at least nice. At least you're
Mhm.
like, even if it's a week later, you're like, all right, completely blew it there. My ideas for that progression didn't work out. Now I can make an adjustment, even though it's a week later. But that is tough if you teach a one-off and then you're not going to see that movement again for another couple weeks.
Yeah.
Do you do that? Do you like wait for redemption? You're like, well, blue wall balls today, and I have to wait 5 months to get redemption on the wall balls.
Yeah. It's like it has happened, I would say, mostly in setup, where I'm like, I did not like where I had those boxes this time.
Mhm.
Next time, I think I'm going to do it like this. And then, like, you get it the next time, you're like, yeah, that was way better. But yeah, like you said, sometimes it's like weeks away when you're like, next time I see a box in 3 weeks, in 4 weeks, or whatever, then I can do it. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever make those adjustments in class, like in the moment? Like, you're like, I don't like where these boxes are. Like, do you ever do you ever just change it? Like, all right,
Oh,
where would I like the box?
I move people's stuff during the workout. The second they get off, and if I like look and it looks weird to me, the second they like get off the implement, I will move it to a quote unquote better place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to do that. I did that during during Thursday, during that jack workout, 20-minute AMRAP, 10 push press at 115.75, 10 kettlebell swings, 53.35, and 10 box jumps. And I had them put the boxes we got the boxes first. So I was going to use those in the warm up and practice that movement first. Body weight to weight,
Mm-hmm.
and we put the boxes in the middle of the room. And then, you know, I looked at the board and I'm like, well, that's not the flow of the workout. Like if I put the barbells on the rig side and the kettlebells on the hallway side, then they're going to have to go
Yeah.
barbell, far side of the room to the kettlebell, then to the middle to the box. And then I guess they could go from the box to the barbell again. And I was like, that it works, but not the way I really want it to work. I'd rather they go down the line, barbell, kettlebell, box, finish at the box, and then get a little bit of that, get that longer walk. We have to take a long walk anyways, which is across the room.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather them go across the room back to the bar, take a few breaths, and then pick up the bar again to get going. It just seemed odd. So I changed it. I was like, once we were done warming up with the box, I was like, all right, here's what we're going to do. Before you go to get your kettlebell, you're going to take the box, you're going to put it up here now. And where your box was, that's where the kettlebell goes now. So I kind of saved myself in that. I'm like, yeah, it was part of the plan all along, until I realized that the flow that I had in my head isn't the way I would want to do that workout. Like
Right.
it felt too clunky. So, yeah, sometimes you have to make it seem like it was part of the plan.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't, because they don't know. That's part of the thing too. It's like, they don't know, right? And you might get frustrated in the moment. You're like, these boxes aren't working here and stuff like that, but they have no idea. So just keep it cool and plan it out.
Yep.
Whenever a song ends exactly as the workout ends, yeah, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
That was me. It wasn't. It was just complete luck of Spotify and the draw and the timing of everything. And I'm more fascinated by the fact that like everything in my life that I've done timing wise and everything that happened during the day and everyone showing up to class on time, getting their box 1 second faster, whoever hit the playlist during the day or whatever I started the song on and the shuffle decided, it all lined up for the song to end exactly when the workout buzzer ends.
Yeah.
How does that happen, Miguel? I want to know. I don't. Do you understand it? I don't.
Yeah. No, sometimes things just align.
Yeah, it's super cool. I take credit for it every time. No. So yeah, cool things to think about with coaching classes. Have I told you my one of my new not a new rule, but one of my new things that I'm trying in class with doing extra rounds or stuff like that if you miss the stimulus?
Oh, no, no.
So I tested this out last week. There's sometimes no matter what, you tell class 5 to 8 rounds or 12 to 18 minutes. Like you give them the parameters of what we're trying to do. And there's always some people that no matter what you do, they'll always seemingly be just below it.
Mhm.
Like they're like 3 rounds is my jam, 4 rounds. And you're like, we did so much practice in talking about this, and you still came up a little bit short, right? So I made a deal with Migdalia. Shout out to Migdalia if she's listening to this. I was like, we want 8 to 10 rounds or 8 to 20 rounds. That's what they said on Jack. Which 20 rounds means you're doing around a minute. That's oh gosh, that is flying. The hard part about that hero workout, and I tried to explain this to class, is that it's only 10 reps, and they're faster movements with kettlebell swing. And if you go unbroken and do that workout the right way, it'll be crazy hard. And people were so surprised how hard it got because you're doing so much work. It adds up. You do 10 rounds, that's 100 push press, 100 kettlebell swings, 100 box jumps. Like the unique part about that Jack Hero workout is that it's only hard if you decide to make it hard.
Yeah.
You could do 3 rounds and be like, that wasn't that bad. I can't believe that's a hero wad. Like you have the choice on this one, which makes it really unique, like I said. So everybody, of course, is focusing on the 8 rounds part because that's the lowest number that I said. But I'm like, hey, if you get a round every 2 minutes, which is a very reasonable request, that's 10 rounds. And so at some point, Migdalia wants to do step ups instead of box jumps. And I was like, fine, you can do step ups. But what do I get in this situation? I want 10 rounds. And then, but now what happens if I don't get what I want, but you got step ups and that's what you wanted? And so the thing was, I'm like, hey, if you come back to me and you got 8 rounds, the timer's still going to keep going until you get me 2 more rounds. So you can't use the fact that the workout is an AMRAP and it's going to end as your out and your excuse. Because I've done it before. I know you've done it before. It's an easy thing to do in an AMRAP. You can just slow way down and just kind of coast through the end of it and let it end. Like let the timer put you out of your misery in the workout. Have you done that before?
Yeah, and I think even like I like to call it pacing, but sometimes if you've seen me like in AMRAPs or like in longer workouts in class, I look at the clock a lot. So I will fully just, I'll go, I have enough time. I know exactly how many rounds I want to hit. And I went too fast in those first 3. So I'm going to slow it way down for this last one. And that'll get me perfectly where I'm at instead of like, all right, well, that actually felt kind of comfortable. I can keep on going at this pace. I'll be like, that's not a part of my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the timer is your out, right? Oh,
Yeah.
shucks. Looks like I only got 7 rounds and I said I was going to get 9 rounds. Nothing I can do about that. So I was like, well, how can I combat that? And like Big Dahlia has, some fears about the box jump, stuff like that. I can get her to do them sometimes. This time I was like, you know what? With the pace I want you to do today, I'd rather you go faster and cycle through the box and get back to the barbell. But I don't want that to mean you're going to come back and get 7 rounds because you slowed down. Like I still want a sense of urgency on this. So I told her, I'm like, hey, if you get 9 rounds, if you get 9.5 rounds, the timer still goes for you until you finish what we've agreed upon, which is 10 rounds for you, because that's what you paid for with your step ups. You can do step ups today, but you're paying for it with 10 rounds, and we don't leave until I get paid. And really, you're the one benefiting because you're the one that gets the fitness, right? But and I'm doing this as a way to hold you accountable to get the fitness, because we had a goal today. also I want you to learn how to push in the workouts. And she got 12 rounds and some extra reps.
Yeah.
Like, and during the workout, she was like so pumped when like, she's like, I was like, are you at 10 already? And we were at like, I think like 17 minutes in or something like that. And she's like, yeah, I'm at 10 already. I'm like, look at that. Look at what you did and what you can do. You can go fast. You can do these things. You just got to kind of have a little bit of extra motivation to do it, you know. And sometimes people's motivation isn't, you know, themselves, you know, like you have goals, but when the workout gets hard, you start to challenge how bad do I really want those goals? It's tough. So I made it a little bit about me, but even though me making it about me, it's really about you. Trickily, you know. It's kind of like what happened in Barbell Club the other day. Alex wanted to go for a 140 clean and jerk, right? And his PR was 131. It is 131, but we were giving him crap about that because he hit it a few weeks before unauthorized. And he had done 130 before, but he hasn't done 137, and that's been his goal. So that's what I put on the card. I labored all day sweating over that card, putting that 137 there, and then he's like, I want to go 140, and I was like, well, you haven't hit 141. Now, do you understand that when he tells me that, and I'm pushing back on him, I know we're going 140. Like, do you know this, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys all kind of know this? That like, of course I want 140, but like, I want to see how much does he really want 140, right? If I push back on him and he's like, yeah, you're right, let's go 137. Guess you don't really want 140.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to trick him. I'm just trying to help him figure out what does he really want and what is he really going to work for. Because I have had people be like, well, I want to go up to this weight. And that heavier weight is really an excuse because they know they're not going to put in the work to get that weight. And when they fail, it's like, well, at least I tried. But it's like, you see what I'm saying here? So like, I know this this game. So, all right, I know we're going to go 140, and then I know Shop's going to load it up for him, you know, and put it on the bar. And then, you know, I was trying to think, I'm like, well, this could be another situation of like, how do we win more out of this, right? Of course, I want him to hit 140. That's the big win. But if he doesn't hit 140, what becomes of it, right? And Schaff whispered to me that he hates front squats. Perfect. There we go. All right. If you don't hit 140, then you have to come in tomorrow and do front squats. You have to pay for that 140. It's not free. It's not like, oh, I pulled it up to here and I didn't get it. And then we didn't go down. It's like, hey, you didn't do the work. Now you got to pay for it. Because that is how we'll get stronger and get 140 eventually. Right. So we made that deal. And then also maybe making the deal makes him push harder to get 140. Plus the entire class was giving Alex a lot of shit that day. So
I've been loving where we're at. This has been some of the most exciting few weeks that I've had in Barbell Club, maybe ever, honestly.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We haven't had moments like this since you and Schaff. Like, people don't give Schaff a whole lot of flack anymore, like it used to be. Remember?
Yeah.
So now all attention's on Alex, and then I kind of knew that something was going to happen when Jennifer got involved, because normally Jennifer's neutral party. You know, Jennifer's speeding through her lifts, doing her lifts, and doesn't really get on anybody that much. But Jennifer took a moment to pause everything and talk about Alex's facial expressions. And the funny thing is, seeing Alex not know how to respond to Jennifer, because Jennifer normally doesn't do that. You know, he gets crap from Jon. Jon will whisper little things to him. He gets if Tanzira's on a warpath, everybody's getting something. You know, Haley's up there. You know, I think Alex hit 130, and Haley was holding her arm up with her finger on her elbow.
That'll always happen
until he saw it. So he was looking around, talking to people, and she was just there waiting for him to turn around to see. And then he got all bent out of shape about that. So yeah, that was great. That whole thing. He hit 140, he crushed it. Didn't have to do the front squats. although I ended our evening with, well, if you really want to get better, you'd come in tomorrow and do the front
Yeah.
squats. I mean, and it's not wrong. It's not wrong. Like,
And
you,
yeah, it's something that you can say because we also all know that, and we all know it as individuals for ourselves as well. Like, yeah, really, like all of us could be still getting better, but you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. It's not meant as a malicious dig. You know, the truth is never meant to be malicious. It's just
mhm.
hard to hear, right? It's just hard to hear. No one wants to hear it. You know, and we can't let him rest on his laurels too much on hitting that 140 and being all
Yeah.
happy about it. And although he did put it down very, very fast, so it's
And there was so much joy also in him getting it, and then also in the fact that everyone saw him drop it maybe a little bit too quick.
yeah,
The joy and elation that I think came from everybody else to also point out that he might have dropped the bar too early was very good.
yeah, oh yeah. It was really when he put it, like there was a moment where I was really happy that, all right, yeah, awesome, great PR for Alex, 140, 10 kilo PR, working hard all training cycle, and then it switched so fast when because he was so combative earlier, and it switched so fast that it's like oh, you just gave me ammo for another thing,
Yeah.
and I wasn't even the first one to say anything about it. I think it was Haley, and then Jennifer was like, "Well, yeah, you did kind of put it."
Yeah.
Like, it was great. But that's he also in doing that, he needs to be given that flack for putting it down early
Right. Yeah.
because it sucks when you do that and it really, really matters. And to get a lift taken away like that, to have your joy go from like, and I just threw it all away. Like
Yeah,
that sucks.
and that's what I said because I was like, if you do that at a meet, I will be more mad than anybody else. I think I was like, literally more than anybody else on this team, I will be the most mad because that would annoy me to no end if you did that at a meet.
Yep. Yep. Mistakes on the celebration, the celebrating too early, and that's the equivalent of when you've seen those videos of like racers or marathon people and they're like, yeah, and they're like cheering and the guy just passes them. And like, oh, oh, I think I would throw up afterwards. I
Yeah,
can't even imagine the feeling in my stomach of like what that would feel like when you're like meters away, 5 meters away, and you start to put your hands up in the air, cameras are going off, and then zip, someone goes right by you, and you're going to get a silver medal now. Can you imagine standing on that podium after that?
yeah. It's all a part of sport, and that's why I kind of love. It's also risky, like like the smack talk that we're doing now and everything. Like everyone's really like every time you go for a lift, it's risky. One, because it's a PR, and two, because you were talking smack right before, and you
Yeah,
really have to. It's like in an argument, and you mess up while saying a word, or like when you're texting and you misspell a word in an argument, and you're like, now I've lost. No
yeah,
matter even if what I said was correct, I've lost. So yeah, like all of us are like really getting into like the sport of it now, which a part of it is like, all right, all our lifts have to be completely airtight. Like there can be nothing that anyone can say about this. Like elbows can't touch, lockout has to be completely stuck, feet have to come together, good drop, no touching it with your foot, no anything that anyone
yeah.
can say about it. So yeah.
And that's why I've been trying to add in those things of like, if we're doing ladders, like if you elbow touch or do anything else, like, hey, that's a deduction. You don't get to go on to the next weight because you technically didn't earn it. Like any other time during the year, all right, it's training. Like like whatever, it's fine. But like it was fun to experiment with that a little bit. Like
Mm-hmm.
put a little extra pressure on the lifts. Did you feel like does that make it for you like you have to be even more focused and airtight on something or no?
Yeah, at times. I mean, I'm a very for the most part, I'm like I either make it or I miss it. Like it's either
Yeah,
very clean or it's not happening. But yeah, no, there are moments in the ladder where like okay, sometimes I miss my snatches building up, or like I'll miss one of my clean and jerks in the buildup, but I can just skip that and go on to the next weight. But for the ladders, like I have to hit every single one, or else, like if we have 6 lifts and if I make them all, I get a PR attempt at the end. I can't miss one of those middle ones because that's gone. Then that opportunity isn't going to present itself. So, yeah.
Yeah. And for anyone listening that doesn't know what ladders we're talking about, Coach Clem Penlay used to do these ladders with his teams back in the day, where once you got to your working weight, about 80%, you would increase the weight on the bar by 3%, as long as you're making lifts. If you miss a lift, then you go down by 5% and start to build back up. So it's a way to kind of auto-regulate your lifts and decide what happens when I do miss, and not really get into a situation of, yeah, I've missed 15 times in a row just now, and never once thought to bring the weight down and build back up. Like, it forces you to make adjustments. And I think for the most part, I haven't seen many instances of more than two misses in a row for anyone, on like seeing anyone get like completely buried and have to drop the bar way down. I think I've seen most of you guys, maybe someone missed twice in a row, but then built momentum going back up.
Yeah, I think the closest we got were just the final weeks of it, like the when you just had 3 attempts, because those were like starting at 90 or something. Yeah, so those ones got tough. But yeah, when like, all right, I need to make this lift, and you kind of have to, it's annoying because it's so much lighter than what you just attempted, but you also have to give it the respect, because if you miss again because you didn't care about it, like now you're going even lower.
Yeah. And yeah, I like how you said that. Like, you didn't care about, you should care about every lift. Every weight that you put on the bar deserves respect and focus and attention. And now there's consequences on it. Like, if you don't give that weight that you drop down to the same level of respect, you're just going to get burned even more.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't want to be in that situation ever. Like, if you're at a meet, you got to be focused on all those lifts. You got to be treating them just like you want to perform out on the platform. And when you go out there, you can't, not that anyone I don't think ever is, but you can't be like, well, it's just my opener, I'm gonna smoke this one. Because as soon as you do that, that's when you miss your opener. And now the whole thing changes when you miss your open. Like, unless you're determined enough and you're like, hey, it wasn't that bad of a miss, I'm gonna bump up to what my planned second attempt was. But now there's so much more pressure and stakes on that second attempt, because you only have 2 more lifelines to get on this board. And now if you miss the second attempt, oh boy, now we're in that dreaded situation of we can't go down. Do we go up a kilo? Or you just got to go out there and make that lift. And I hate seeing that when I'm like refereeing and you see someone come out, they miss their opener, they're still the next lifter, they missed their second attempt, and you're just like, oh boy, I know what's going on over there. That's not fun. Because I've been in that situation on the coaching end many times, and I've also been in that situation as an athlete, and they both suck.
Yeah.
They're both tough to deal with. Oh, and you were in that situation your first ever weightlifting meet, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Was it the Saratoga Summer Smackdown? Was that it?
I think it was potentially. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what the name of that meet was.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact name.
Yeah. Showdown.
Maybe it was Showdown.
Yeah, Summer Showdown. Yeah. Saratoga Barbell Club. Yeah, that could have been the beginning of the end. You're all of a sudden you're like, I'm just gonna focus on CrossFit.
Yeah.
And now here you are smoking big PRs. Am I allowed to say these numbers to the public? Are people allowed to know?
Not the last clean and jerk number. Yeah.
Well, how about the snatch?
Yeah, snatch is fine. Yeah.
All right. Well, you've been on a tear with the snatch recently. We like to do the top down drill a lot, which is you deadlift the bar, go through all 3 positions, hips, knees, go down to the floor, and then snatch. So we do that drill a lot, and you just snatched 87 for a double on that. Which is that a double PR even regular, right? Yeah. I think your regular double PR is 85, right?
Yeah, it's 85.
Okay, so the most you've ever snatched for 2 reps in a row of any type of thing, which it should technically be harder because the bar's just on you so much longer. We have more of that eccentric loading. So, and plus we did drop, so you had an extra deadlift in there. So that's like 4. That's like it's like
I didn't drop.
Oh, that's right. You didn't drop.
Yeah.
Okay, even more impressive. So 87 kilos thrown around like that, and then you hit 90 for a top down single, right?
Yep.
The next week, and then we went from the floor 2 days later. So
Yeah.
this past Wednesday, you hit the single, and then you hit 95 from the floor, which is a lifetime PR by 1 kilo. Your best before that was 94, which you did at the regional, 80K regional. And your best in training, I think, was 93, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So this is a training PR. So 2 kilo training PR, 1 kilo lifetime PR. Pretty darn good on the snatch. I do think things are progressing mentally, strength wise, physically, spiritually with the snatch.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I don't know. It's like, I don't think it's necessarily physical. I really do feel like a lot of these things that I've been hitting are overdue. I do feel that I am stronger overall, but I don't think that's what it currently is. I think it's really like, I feel like I'm owed these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've been so close for so many times, and some days I'm content with, like, we gave it a couple attempts. I know that it's there. We haven't hit it, but I know that it's there, so I'm fine with that.
And you've
And
had
other
some,
times,
what I would say are good lift or good misses
right?
at 95, like where it's like, oh, we just have to like you just need one more attempt, and that one more attempt may not be today. It'd be in a couple weeks, but you just need that one more attempt to get it.
Yeah, and yeah, it wasn't even. I would say it really, feeling wise, it wasn't like a good feeling snatch day for me. Like, I feel like we were talking about like my form and like where my eyes were throughout, and it didn't feel as natural to me. But the fact that I could still get 95, not feeling the best in my snatches for the day, also like proves to me that I know I have more. I'm very happy to get that number and just get it out the way, because I feel like that's every like 5 kilos is like a big deal. But yeah, no, I think all my numbers are really just like, this is what I know that I've been capable of these numbers. So I'm glad that I'm finally able to earn them. Because sometimes it's really like, oh, you get a miss earlier on, so then it makes, like we said, like in a meet, now you have to make the decision of like, all right, do I hit this again? Do I try to go up? Because then if I miss the next weight, then, you know, instead of 92 kilos for the day, it's really like 88 because I kept on going up after my misses or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, things are in line. I think mentally as well, just the way that I've been like more fired up within myself, to really like hit some of these weights.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Would you say that the programming that we've been doing helped at all on just like feeling stronger, or some of the drills that we've done and some of these tougher workouts helped like mentally be like, oh, I didn't know if I was going to get through that, but I did. So what's the one single snatch?
Yeah, I think for sure. Like top down snatches are fairly comfortable for me. Um, I think also my decision to not drop the bar when we do like multiple reps of top down snatches,
Mm-hmm.
because to me it makes it easier. I think also like it just makes me feel stronger after I've hit one and I bring it down and I'm just like, you just gotta feel like you. I just feel stronger than like dropping it, because it feels like my connection to the bar has like severed and I have to like create that again.
Yeah.
So I like to just bring
Anytime you
it down.
drop it on a drill like that, then the door is open for, you may not get this one. Like there's a little
Yeah,
voice. There's a little like the your little angel devil on your shoulder, and you look over and that little angel's gone as soon as you drop it, and then there's only the devil there. Like, well, you probably dropped it because it's heavy, right? You know, you're getting pretty tired, right? But I feel like for you holding on to it, what also maybe helps is that other people started to drop it, which remember when we first started doing top down stuff, the rule was you can't drop it, right? But I like seeing the door open on like, well, who's going to take the easy way out? And that goes back to, you know, like if you really want to get better, you could come in tomorrow and do front squats. Like it's all the same, right? It's all the same. And yeah, I understand people are tired. We train late at night, all that stuff. Someone didn't eat today. All these things. This is a constant battle. It will never end. All those things. But it's like, who's going to decide to take the easy way out? Who's going to decide to take the easy way out because someone else decided to take the easy way out? Maybe even because someone else that they're sharing a bar with decided to take the easy way out. So they decide to do the same thing. Interesting, right? Think about the psychology of it.
No, I mean, and for me, it's like, it's the exact opposite. Like as soon as I see someone, I hate the idea of like almost following a crowd. So if everyone's doing something, I will purposefully do it the other way.
Yeah.
As long as I physically can, like for top down clean and jerks, just because of how different my jerk grip and clean grip are, I can't string those together. But like for snatches, I know I can. And the fact that other people won't gives me, again, like it's the strength of like bringing down for the second rep. Feeling like another person can't and I can makes me feel a lot stronger too.
Yeah, especially when your weights are getting really close to the weights that they're doing. We had a little battle that day. You know, you hit 87, Alex hit 91, and then Shaf hit 92, and Shaf hit 93. So Shaf won the exchange on the snatches, but that really could have gone a different way for most of you guys. And then they both dropped. You held on. How do we weigh and measure that? You know, that's another thing to kind of think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like best case scenario of like what I would like to happen. Because going for 87, I think Shaf had also hit 87 before. No, I think he hit 86.
Yeah,
so that's what I was saying. And I was saying like, oh, I'm gonna beat Shaf if I hit this because he had 91 loaded, and I was like, he's not gonna make 91.
Yeah.
So I mean,
for the record, you said this openly in class,
right, out loud, like before he even attempted it, before I attempted mine, and
he missed it.
Yeah, he did. But then I think because of me like digging at him, it also made Alex want to bump up and also beat Shaf. And then it made Shaf have to come back and instead of going for 91, go bigger at 93 and then get that. Yeah, that was like best case scenario for, even though it made me come in third instead of first as I would have preferred, the fact that it made everyone have to go up in weight is like best case scenario for the team, I would say.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want to be pushing each other like that. I'm starting to doubt now what I'm remembering. Shaf maybe didn't drop on the snatch. Let me just look at the video. He held on. Okay. Shaf did not. He held on. I still have to post this video. Although after he hit the second snatch, he immediately looked over at you and then started to lose it and had to walk forward. And man, that would have been rough had he dropped it. Because that would have been an example of celebrating too early.
Yeah.
And then,
but that's the risk of like the trash talk and the showing out and showing off. It's risky.
Yeah. So Shaf, that seals the deal. Actually, the fact that he did not drop it, that's fantastic. Alex did drop it. He's new to the pain though. He's new to the pain, mental and physical. He'll get there. So yeah, this has been great seeing these battles, you know. And the nice thing is that once States is done, it'll cool off a little bit. And everyone won't be as crazy, especially because we'll have a little bit of downtime right after that, and then we're going to kind of go into kind of like our off season stuff, which isn't more about being competitive with one another. It's more about just grinding through, you know, some strength work and stuff and being consistent. So that'll be good. For your clean and jerk stuff, I don't even know what I'm allowed to mention publicly now. Like I don't even.
No, I would just say overall that it's, again, I think it's long overdue. I just haven't had the opportunity. Um,
Yeah.
I think just with my whole passing out going on, it has held me back a lot. But I even think with that, I mean, at the regional with passing out, power cleaning 107, like easily
Yeah.
was like showing that like, all right, this isn't due to like too heavy of weight at this point. It's just what's happening. I know that my PRs aren't my exact PRs right now because I know that I'm capable of a lot more. Um,
It's
but
fun
yeah,
when they surprise you, you know. I remember way back I was doing a complex 1 power clean, 3 push jerks, and I put 225 on the bar pounds. Not, I mean, I was like, I'm not gonna be able to get this, but like it was just the next jump, so we might as well try it. And I can't remember. Do you remember Kyle Roddy?
I'm not sure.
Tall, tall, blonde. He used to be a coach early in the morning.
Don't think so.
Oh, okay, but he was like the only one down there, and he came over because he could hear me screaming while I was doing it. But like I hit the power clean, which was like a surprise, and like I like just let out like a Schaff scream, you know how Schaff screams while I did it, and then after every power clean, I was just like I don't know, you don't make a whole lot of noise, but for whatever reason, it was just helping me get through it on screaming through all 3 of these jerks, and I'd never done a triple at 225 before on any type of jerk. And it was not expected I'd be able to do it on a push jerk because
Mhm.
I didn't really practice them. It was all about the split. And I was like, holy crap, I can't believe I did that. And he's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. You know, I wasn't even trying to make those noises. They were just coming out like,
Yeah.
and the clean jerk is like the only move that'll make me do that
Mhm.
involuntarily, make noises like that. But sometimes it just surprises you, and then it makes you feel even more confident or cocky about your regular lifts, because this was
Oh
right
yeah.
before the AWF Grand Open in Las Vegas, and I end up PRing my clean jerk at that, doing 104. So we'll say 102 in pounds, 2 more kilos more on the thing. But it's like when I put it on the bar at the meet, I was like, why wouldn't I be able to do this?
Yeah.
I just did a power clean and 3 push jerks with 102. And like the only reason I don't clean, full squat, and split jerk 104 is because I don't think I can,
Hmm.
even though I can. But there's something about it where James is like, I don't think you can do this. I don't know. We've never done it before. But I'm like, but I just did something way crazier than that. And it's not like they were press out jerks. I don't really press out jerks, or didn't really press out jerks. I was like you. It's either it either I didn't have the legs to get it going, or we're going in the split. I don't ever
Hmm.
really remember getting called for press outs, unless I just blocked them out of my
Yeah.
memory. Sometimes you do that. But yeah, that's another example was like, like when you feel overdue. I had been snatching 70 kilos over and over and over a million times, and I just couldn't get past it. And it was like, it was like, when you have a PR, but you can like snatch it all the time or lift it all the time, but you put a little more on there, and your brain's like, no, I don't know about that.
Hmm.
And there was this one day I got super pissed off about it. I'm like, I'm bigger than you. Like I was like literally looking at the bar. I'm like, I weigh 30 pounds more than this bar. And it's just a 45-pound plate and a 10-pound metal plate. And I'm like, it doesn't even look like that much.
Yeah.
Like I was over by the chalk bucket by the door, and I look around and I'm like, what is your problem? Why won't you just pick that up and pick up more than it? And that day I believe I PR'd my snatch because I was like, I weigh more than you. I think that was the day when I snatched 175 or 180. So not a bad big bump for the PR, like 20 pounds,
Yeah.
25 pounds of like what had been due for a while. And then I missed 185 like 13 times in a row because I was like, oh, we're so close. And like, then it became about, this is the number I really want. Like I really like, it's a benchmark number. It's 180 is nothing special. No one
Right.
talks about 180. 180 doesn't pop up on the whiteboard,
Hmm.
right? But 185 does. That's
Yeah.
like a special number. And then I got to that one and I missed it 13 times in a row. And then I decided it's time to stop.
Yeah.
Because also I still had the clean and jerk, and this had been going on for way too long at this point, because that's how it always happened. But so yeah, it's a mentality thing. It's a showing yourself thing. It's how you go into training, and what kind of like what will you allow yourself to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most of it we're the ones putting the limit on it. It's not even heavy, right?
Definitely.
I did the Jon North Donny Shankle seminar at Frank's gym. Frank Ford, shout out to Frank Ford, Sona Weightlifting. They had the nostalgia tour seminar there yesterday. So it was cool going out to that. And a lot of the people that I was talking to, they would miss this weight, miss that weight. And I was like, does it even feel heavy? And they're like, no. And I'm like, it doesn't look heavy. Like you're pulling the bar up to your chin. Like there's just something else not allowing you to do this. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with strength, nothing to do with your positions. Maybe an argument can be made it's a timing thing, but what is delaying the timing? I think it's up here. It's something up here. Is that what you feel when those situations happen to you?
Definitely. I think even Friday, I mean, on the last attempt that I took for clean and jerk, I mean, initially missed the clean, and my brain immediately went like, you didn't even feel that. That literally didn't feel any heavier than the last 4 or 5 attempts that you've taken. So I was like, do it again, like right now, because you can't even count that. Like there are times where you miss and then you go and you chalk up again. You're like, I'll hit this in a little bit, but you're like, you don't need to re-chalk. You don't need anything. Like you essentially had that, so just have it. And yeah, I think it was just a good like mental spiritual day of like everything was aligning, and it was like, yeah, just do it.
Yeah. And I showed the video to Frank, and I was telling him, like, on a normal day that would have been all right, go back and rest again, come back. And I was even starting to shut off the camera.
Yeah,
And
no, that's
you put your hand up, and you're like, no, keep filming. Which it's a way cooler video if you keep filming. And then you just took a step back and got back on it. And then while you're doing that, I was in my house like, F yeah, let's go, And then the clean was so much better.
Yeah.
Like it was just it was a fluke. It was like like you're gonna hit the net into the ball, into the ball into the net. You're gonna hit the ball in the net. Don't be surprised when that happens. It's part of the game, right? When you're going to shoot a basket, it's gonna miss. You're gonna hit the backboard. It's gonna go around the rim. That was like one of those ones where it goes around the rim and doesn't go your way, right? Get another ball, shoot it again. Like this, it's all. You think sometimes people treat weightlifting too much like not like other sports in that regard, where it's like, I missed, I'll never get it again, or not for today. Where it's like, just try it again. Of course, there's a limit to it, but in every other sport, you have an error. It's expected. It's expected to miss.
Yeah.
But sometimes we get in situations where we almost get too surprised with misses, and you do want it to be to the point where you are a little surprised and almost pissed off that you missed, and you're like, how could this insult happen to me? But also when you're training really, really heavy, if you're missing 10% of the time, that's good training.
Yeah. And it's something that I've been like saying, at least in my head as well. But like, I think sometimes as we do, like you need to respect the bar. Like you gotta be respectful of like how much weight you have on there, but like it also needs to be respectful of you. Like you're essentially the master of this weight every time you walk up to it. Like the barbell should be afraid of what you're going to do to it. You shouldn't be afraid walking up to it. And that's kind of been my thing too, where I'm like, this isn't a problem. Like I am better than this. So I need to like show it right now.
Yep. I'm bigger than you.
Yeah.
I'm stronger than you, bar, or Donnie talked a lot in the seminar yesterday about how when he's like going for like a big lift or gearing up for some kind of a heavy clean jerk stuff, he's like, I'm just getting madder and madder. He's like, I'm so pissed by the time, and it's like when you hear him say it, especially the way that he says it and stuff, you could not imagine being like in front of the bar and him. That's like being in front of like a lion and a steak.
Yeah.
Like he's so mad and he's about to put so much violence into this bar that it's crazy. And during the seminar, one of Frank's guys, Jeff, was going for a PR, and I told him, I'm like, you need to try to do this lift. Like that bar owes you money, this bar has owed you $20, and every time you ask for it, it's like, oh, I got you on Friday, and
Yeah.
Friday always comes, and that bar doesn't have your $20. It's time now to show it, why it needs to pay. A lot of my examples always go to money. I think I've watched too much The Sopranos. Like it's like, where's my money? But like, you got to make the bar pay, right? You've been putting in all this work, and now you're trying to cash out, and the bar is like, I don't got it today. Like, the hell you do? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got that 95 snatch. The bar paid. The bar cashed out.
Yeah.
You cashed out.
I think everyone has their different motivators. Like, if I do trash talk, it's to get myself pumped up. Like, actually, no one on the outside, no external factors like get me pumped up. I have to talk to myself. So like, I don't even hear what anybody else is saying. Like, it literally doesn't affect me at all. So I have to like talk to myself, and I've been changing the way that I speak to myself before I lift, where it's like sometimes it's like a little bit self-deprecating, sometimes it's like get it together, sometimes it's like, now it's been more like, all right, you're better, prove you're better, like stuff like that. um but I think I've been trying to like find that within each individual person in barbell club too. Like when I was coaching Shaf at the central regional, it was similar, where it was like, all right, it doesn't seem like things are really clicking all that well today. Like, what will work to get you to like not snap out of it, because sometimes it's just not the day.
Yeah.
But like trying to like push buttons and see which one works for you, and then like, can you replicate that every time you go into competition, or like anytime you go into a big lift?
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty much the same way. Like, I don't get like fired up by speeches or, you know, someone yells, "You can do it." Like, oh, all right, cool.
I'm like,
Like,
yeah, I know, dude. Thanks.
yeah, and and like I'll still say things like that, like let's go, you got it, blah blah blah. But that's just what you do. Like you
Yeah.
like that's just like as a spectator or a coach or a teammate, like you need something to do. So that's like what you do. But it's like it's more of like it's for you, not for them,
Hmm.
unless it affects them. So yeah, I never really got pumped up by things like that when all my stuff was mostly internal. I guess maybe my motivation was more of like, I do believe I can do it. My motivation was like I need to do it for my team or
Hmm.
for my gym. It's like it's a little bit different. It's like it's not even for me. It's like I want to lead by example. So I got all these people with me at a meet, and I'm doing a meet, and I want to do my best, and I want to show them what they should be doing. So that's like where my motivation came from. It's like, oh, my lifters are watching me. We can't just pull, like, you gotta
Right.
go under the bar. Like, you can't just clark it or something like that. And also, like, if you do get like a bad call or something, like how do you react to it, things like that. Well, the decision's final, thank you, judges, and move on. Like, versus like you see some people, who are coaches, and like they'll be all bent out of shape and stuff. It's like, well, you're teaching your lifters to do that too, and to
Hmm.
have that kind of an attitude. So that's where kind of like my motivation always came from.
Yeah.
I'm like, it is for me. I'm getting better doing it, and I want it. But like, I got pumped up on like, well, my team's watching, and I want them to do these things too. Oh, during the pull, the clean feels really, really heavy. It'd be really great if I just didn't go under it. But
Hmm.
I want people to be fearless, so I have to be fearless. I have to go under that bar, and then, and then at least act like I'm trying to do the jerk.
Yeah.
Which, that's the worst feeling in the world, where you stand up with the clean and you start to dip, and you're like, no legs, and like it's like you feel it like right in the middle of your quads, and you're
Yeah.
like, and you're gonna try. You do that thing where you push, and it gets up to here, and you kind of like step a little, and it's just there's no oomph. You just ran out of gas immediately on the dip. That happened to me yesterday. So yesterday at this, I was using this as kind of like a big launching off for states, since I'll be doing states, and I was like, well, we haven't really like pushed any of this stuff, So I was like, well, let's see what happens. And luckily, Ryan Hansen had these, it's kind of like the ones that Haley has, the like the thin wrist wraps.
Yep.
I've never used them before. I always just had the big heavy duty ones, but he had a bunch of extra ones that someone had sent him. So he gave me them because I was asking, he caught me right when I was asking Frank if Frank had any wrist wraps. And he's like, oh, I got these extra ones in my car. And he just gave him. And I ended up putting 2 of them on. So I had 2 of them on my left wrist and cranked as hard as I could. I was able to snatch 65 pounds, and that felt okay. Power snatch. And it was kind of weird because I was like, I don't quite know what I want to do yet. Like split snatch or power snatch. Squat snatch out of the question.
Yeah.
Definitely not going to happen. We need way more time to build that back up. So I tried them both. They both felt okay. Split snatch, I don't know. It's hard for me to bend my feet, my back foot, the way it needs to be, just because my toes are fused together. So like my foot doesn't bend, and it also makes it harder to jump on both feet. So jumping is an issue, and bending the feet is an issue. So I don't know. I might be able to pull it off. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Because it does feel easier than the power snatch. Okay, I think it's easier. It's easier than the power snatch because for the power snatch, I have to pull it higher.
Yeah.
I have to pull the bar higher and I have to catch it higher. Whereas the split, I can catch it a little bit lower. So I might end up split snatching. I tried 40, and just feeling the weight of it here, it doesn't allow me to push into it like that. So even if it's not a lot of pain, it's like still super weak. And I asked someone, I'm like, hey, can you watch and see if my left elbow locks out? Because like also when I'm holding it, I can't even tell. Like like it'll be like this. I'm like, I can't tell if it's locked out or not. All I can focus on is how awful it feels. And they're like, oh, neither one of them's locked out. I'm like, all right, I didn't even know the other one. I didn't even know the other one. My right arm wasn't locked out. So I might have to go lighter than that, or maybe 40 is like a third attempt. We'll see. And then for the clean and jerk, I did again. I tried to split jerk. Split jerk, no. It's so different than the split snatch. What needs to happen there, and it feels so weird and so awful. So we're definitely gonna push jerk, and the power clean, that sucks. I don't. So now I'm like doing things where it's like I don't know how people do this, because if I could, it would be so much easier. The lift would feel so much easier if I could just drop into a full front squat clean, come up and adjust my hands, catching it like I'll say it master style. You know when like masters people, which is me now, hit a clean and they stay straight and their arms, elbows are low and the bar is barely on their shoulders. Doing that, I was trying to do that on purpose because I can't really put a lot of back pressure like this. And I was like, this is the hardest thing ever. It's actually harder than a muscle clean. This is a muscle clean. I would call this a muscle clean because you just have to use so much upper body to turn it over. And so it was so hard to hold the bar like that, but at least push jerks felt okay. And it actually felt better to drive into it than the snatch, I think, because of the grip whip. So I was able to get 50 on that. And then I went to 60, and that was not a good clean. It was really hard to turn that over. So I had it half on my right shoulder and this side, like so it was actually like right here on the shoulder, and the other half of the bar was in the air as I was trying to turn it over, and like so that sucked. And then after that, I was like, I don't want to do this jerk, and I did that thing where like your legs don't work. And I was like, all right, 60 is kind of the upper end, but my hope is that if I keep doing it, this will start to get used to it. Because the thing that I'm missing the most is speed. Like it's hard to move these joints fast when I have no confidence that they have the ability to move fast, and we haven't tried to move fast. It's one thing to do like push-ups, ring rows, sit-ups, machines, all these things, but the snatch and the clean jerk, when you're trying to move like that, that's a whole different
Yeah.
ball game. And it's not even that I'm afraid to like hurt it. It's like I just like my brain can't figure it out. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean by that. Yeah.
you've experienced this.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. I mean, even like when I pulled both hamstrings, like one running again was difficult because again, it's like the mental block, or like even just in training. I know a lot of us, like there's some days where like all of our wrists like link up and everyone's wrist is hurting. And even that, it's like you know exactly what it's going to feel like. So your brain will literally just refuse to
Yeah.
put itself in that situation, even though you can like tell yourself, you're like, I know what it's going to feel like. This has to be fine. Just do it. And your brain's like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly how it is. Like setting up on the bar for the clean. It's like I know what's coming, or
Mm-hmm.
I know what could be. And it's funny how like cranking on that wrist wrap, it really helped a lot. Like it helped there's it helped enough where it's like I can't mentally comprehend doing it without it right now. Like
Yeah.
but I never used to use wrist wraps like that. Belt fine, knee wraps fine, shoes, but I never really liked having anything on my wrist. And now it's like no, we need that there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like as you're approaching the bar, setting your feet, gripping the bar, you're like, all right, how is this going to go? And also, it's like, well, is this going to be the one right now that makes it that like something unrecoverable happens, and
Mm-hmm.
now I can't do the meet, you know? So like you just feel everything slow down, your reaction time on the lift. You're just thinking about everything the whole time.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we front squatted. I was able to hold 65 pounds like this and front squat that. And then I went up to 70 with the I Dream of Genie style, which those are the heaviest weights I've attempted to front squat in a very long time. And we're also talking full depth too.
Yeah.
Yet yesterday was the first time I've squatted without holding on to something like body weight squat assistance wise. But really I had my knees wrapped super tight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so I still have not, like, even right now, like if you were to tell me, hey, set up the camera, go stand out there, do an air squat, my brain's like, I don't know about that.
Right.
We don't like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just when I go down, even on those squats, I don't feel my legs. Like that's another thing. Like I don't feel my quads. All I feel are the joints.
Yeah.
So it's like when going down, I feel all the tendons and joints stretch out. I don't feel my legs at all. And then on the way up, I can feel my hips kick back, which means my hammies are like, we got you. We've always been here. So there's still stuff like that going on. And I think maybe that's part of the mental block, along with having to move my feet violently and turning the bar over to think about trying to catch a clean down there.
Yeah.
So I just need to keep doing it. You know,
Yeah.
like this weekend, I was able to show myself, well, you could, like, so I think that's a big step forward, because I'm starting to get really bored of leg presses and other things.
Yeah.
They do get boring after a while.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you were able to do that. I'm hoping as a team we can come back with many, many medals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get a medal, you don't come back. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we're gonna be rolling in the medals this time, so this will be good. I'm pumped. I'm pumped for states.
Yeah.
It's only 3 weeks away.
It is very close. It's very close.
I'm pumped to see you guys tee off on the lifts, to coach. I'm pumped to lift, and I'm starting to get. Yesterday was a good thing too. On like, I have had that mental hang up of like, there's like a frustration on like, because I've started looking back at my old videos, because I'm looking back at the old videos because I'm like, how did I used to do this? How did James McDermott used to move? And I'm wondering, like, if I see myself do it, I can like make myself do it. You know, like oh, that's what your squat used to look like. That's where you used to put your feet. Like as I was trying to front squat, I'm like, I don't even where do I like to put these? And I tried wide. I'm like, oh, that's awful. Then I
Yeah.
tried narrow. I used to squat with my feet like this far apart, like super
Mm.
narrow. So I'm just kind of like reminding myself of like what I used to do. But then inevitably I stop looking at my body and I start looking at the weight on the bar. I'm like, ah, and then I'm
Right.
at the seminar and I got 65 pounds on the bar and I'm struggling to do that. And I'm doing a power snatch, which I never used to do power snatches. Like I'm not good at power snatches. I was awful at power snatches because it was only ever squat snatch. That's the only thing you wanted to be good at, you know. So why do it? It was never power snatches were rarely programmed for me. Jon North was my coach at that time. Never programmed power snatches because the program was always max snatch, max clean jerk, max back squat.
Yeah.
And then when I became friends with Glenn Penlay and started learning from him, he didn't really believe in power snatches either, because of course he was
Yeah.
John's like, so it all comes together. So the only time I ever power snatch was in like a CrossFit WOD or something like that. And now like I'm forced to do them and it feels
Mm-hmm.
wrong. And I don't like it. You know, the split snatch I can come to terms with because it's what I had to do after I hurt my knee. But the power snatch is like dirty. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
right. And and now I'm seeing myself do the full snatch. I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. And then I start to see the weights, remember a little. I don't know if you have this. Remember what it feels like. I remember what it felt like in the hands. I remember what it
Mm.
felt like coming off my hips. And I can't find that feeling now, and I want it because it felt good. And then also, people used to compliment my lifts too. So like here I am now at the Donny Shankle Jon North seminar, you know, and I'm lifting for other people, and I have to do these lifts that I'm not happy with.
Mm.
But it's a good thing because that's very close to reality in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to have weights on the bar that I would never in a million years have had, even as a beginner, even at my first meet. They're going to look in a way that they never would have looked like before and that I don't like for me personally. But it's still better. I have to rationalize it myself. It's still better to do it than to not, especially because of that. It's still better to put on the shoes, put on the singlet, go out there and enjoy the meat that I've spent a year working on, you know, and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm coming to terms with it.
Yeah. I mean, I have the same thing. It's the same thing with like Wodify. I look back and I'm like, I remember the CrossFitter Miguel back in 2019 who was putting up all those. Anytime I see a workout and it says like view history and I look, it's like best score is always 2019. And I'm like,
That
yeah,
was the
that
year.
guy was really a CrossFitter.
Yep.
And I'm like, I know I can't do that right now, but I'm like, it's fine. Like whatever, because I mean, all you're gonna do is just delay it because
Yeah.
you think you or you know that you won't hit those numbers again, and you're like, that's not gonna really solve anything. So I might as well go for it anyway.
Yeah. Exactly. It's crazy too because 2019, that's when all of you guys were really going. Like you were coming to Barbell Club, but Barbell Club was only 2 days a week.
Yeah.
There was no day 3 or day 4. So you guys were still doing a lot of CrossFit. And when we came back, you know, we got day 3 in, and a lot of you guys still kept doing a lot of CrossFit. And that's when Renee joined the team, and Renee would do the 5 o'clock class and then right in the Barbell Club. You know, there were very few of you that were only doing solely Barbell Club.
Mm-hmm.
So, not that I'm saying we should go back to that, but it's like, it's just funny to see how a lot of you guys have settled into being weightlifters and now where your weights are now. Cause like you're infinitely stronger than you
Oh
were
yeah. Oh my
on,
gosh.
on everything than 2019 Miguel. 2019 Miguel didn't have a 300-pound front squat. That's also a paused front squat, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it just happened. You just happened to pause on it, but it counts for both. Is that fun when like your PR counts for multiple categories somehow?
Depends. Like I don't like when my doubles are higher than my singles, or
Yeah.
which also happens to me fairly often.
Yeah, that does happen. I think whenever that happens, it's an interesting thing. It's also like, oh, that's a harbinger of a single PR is definitely coming,
Mm-hmm.
because that happened on I think your top down, right? Your old PR for a
Yeah.
single was 85 for the top down snatch, but the week before you had doubled 87.
Mhm.
So of course it kind of does count as your single and your double. Like it kind of can't not count. Like if we're saying
Yeah.
what your 1 rep max is, how can just because if you've never gone for a single, and let's say you're only training for a whole year doubles, and your double PR is 10 kilos higher than your single PR, what are we saying here? Like I don't even
You're
know.
right.
Like how can we say that your 1 rep max is 70 when you've done 80 for a double? Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Fun things to think about.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be going into taper here next 3 weeks. We have a 3-week taper. Normally we don't take this long to taper. We typically do like a 2-week taper, but I thought it'd be good to get started a little bit earlier. And that certainly doesn't mean that things are lighter. We have some very heavy things going on. And plus we're going to be seeing a lot more of like snatch, clean, jerk, back squat, snatch, clean, front squat plus a jerk, snatch, clean, jerk, back squat. Like just like a lot of like pretty much like, it's funny how the taper almost turns into like a more quote Bulgarian style of programming where it's just the same repetitive things, but that's the zone we're in now. Like it's kind of like not time anymore for the top down snatch. It's time has come and gone. Now it's time for the full snatch to be in the full driver's seat.
Right.
Although on Wednesdays we will be going from the hips. We do have some positional stuff midweek. Wednesday's always a little bit of a different flavor.
Yeah.
Are we still wearing pink on Wednesdays? Should I wear my hoodie?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Until states, let's just try to.
Until states.
Yeah.
Wednesdays are the day to wear pink. All right, I got to dig out that hoodie. But yeah, overall that seminar was a lot of fun. It was good. I think it was a better launching point than doing it solo in the gym.
Yeah,
just because I did so many more things than I would have even wanted to do in one single day. Because we did a max snatch, then we did a max front squat, followed by a max clean jerk, followed by a max back squat. And there's no way I would have voluntarily done all those things in the same session. So I got a nice little baseline to figure things out from now. I'm thinking what might help would be to do a couple sessions off of the blocks, just to kind of figure out, some pull stuff, and maybe even adding in like a fair amount of high pulls for like strength things.
Yeah.
And save like turning over the bar for like, I think once a week is probably fine. I'm pretty happy that I'm not too beat up today. Traps are really sore. My biceps are actually sore from this guy. Like there was at one point where like I felt like a strain on my right bicep coming up like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that was my cue to be like, nope, 70 is enough.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to go 75, 80 or anything. Like the first time I felt that little snag, I was like, nope, we're done. But I was surprised on how much it worked the bicep, because I never feel doing the regular front squat, I guess because it's on my body, but here, this felt like way more arms. I don't know if that's supposed to be the case.
I mean, even that, like just tensing to hold it there does a lot more than like you can kind of not relax, but it's somewhere different.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Typically, if I'd be here, my hands are relaxed. I'm not trying to hold the bar, and that's what always surprised me when people are like fighting against the bar. It's like you just gotta let it just be dead weight on you. But it is harder to do that with that grip there. Back squats, we are no longer friends. It's more, the problem is spatial awareness, I think, on just like knowing where my body is, and knowing too, like I would get rock bottom super deep, and I was like, I had no idea that I was near parallel or where I was in the squat. It's just because you know, right, when you're squatting, you know where you are in the squat, right?
Yeah, I would say that for me it is similar, where I think that's why my numbers are so close. The spatial awareness is so much easier for the front squat than the back squat. But I am fairly aware of, like, I know that I'm deep enough or whatever, but it is a lot easier for me on the front squat.
Yeah, it did feel easier and more. I think it's because I could see the bar or something like that. But on the back squat, everything was gone. It really felt like I was trying to do an air squat with my hands tied behind my back.
Hmm.
I'm like, because like if I was going to try to do an air squat, I would do this as like a counterbalance or something, or just like, again, to figure things out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have no idea where we are on this. And another thing that made the squats harder too is whenever I used to squat, I was looking at the videos, it would be a nice controlled descent and then boing, like get that little bounce up out of the bottom. And now I would get down to the very bottom and I'd be like, oh, we're here. I didn't realize the train stopped. And then I would just feel the pulling on my knee, and like the pulling on like the ankle, like the tendons. And that let me know it's like, yeah, you shouldn't. If you tried to bounce, you would probably just be plummeting to the bottom of this squat.
Right.
And then you better be keeping your core tight doing that and not just come out of it. But also it's like, I don't think any of that is ready for that plyometric type of bounce, you know?
Yeah.
Like if there's one thing that I could not fathom doing would be a box jump. Get out of here. like I could like if someone's like, can you demo, jumping on this box? No, I can't. Nope. Can't imagine getting up on that. And I've tried little jumping here and there in the gym, and those rad shoes help a lot because they're giant pillows.
Yeah.
But one of the big tests this weekend was it's the first time I put on my weightlifting shoes in several years. And I was like, well, let's put them on. Let's see what happens. Other than using them as like dress shoes, because before I had dress shoes, those are the nicest pair of shoes I had to wear in a formal setting. And I was worried because they're super stiff. And at least my barefoot runner shoes and the rads are a little more squishy and pliable. But I was worried about how it was going to feel. Was going to be painful walking around in these shoes. And previously, my weightlifting shoes were the most comfortable pair of shoes also that I own. Like I'll wear them all day. They feel great. They're home. We spent countless hours wearing these shoes in the past. And so I was really happy when I put them on. One, I was able to fit my toes into the toe box because the Penlay Dewins are naturally a wider, like they were like the only wide toe box shoe that you could get way back. That's why I switched from them or to them back in 2014 or 15. And walking around, I was like, oh, this doesn't feel bad at all. And I was like, oh, this is a good sign. And then it gave me more confidence to try to move my feet and snatch and try to do like split stuff and experiment. So being able to wear my shoes is good because there was a moment there where I was like, maybe I'll just wear my rads during the competition, which I could, but I worry about rolling my ankle on those.
Yeah, that would kind of be insane.
Yeah, that would yeah, I don't know. That'd be a concern, but so yeah, I was happy about that because that was like one of the tests. Like I checked off several things. It's like, how are the weightlifting shoes going to go? Let's find out. No better place to find out when you're in that kind of like an atmosphere training with people. Well, Miguel, any thoughts on additional thoughts on recent training, the meet coming up? We got to talk about numbers here soon. We'll do that off the air.
Yeah, I mean, overall, just excited. Again, I think just overall for the team as well. Curious as to how it's going to go for myself and like what I want to do and what I think I should go for, and that just the regular meet stuff. But yeah, very excited for the whole team. Excited to see how it all plays out with the double platforms, the more warm-up platforms in the back as well. And yeah, overall, just really excited to see what goes on. Hoping to continuously stay healthy, knock on wood, as we taper off. But yeah.
Yep, that is the plan. I was looking at the schedule that I built, and I did all the stuff, and I was like, oh, Haley's reffing my session, my platform, so she'll be watching my elbows like a hawk on that. But we have a lot of national and international level referees coming, way more than we've ever had. So the officiating will be very, very high at this, which is awesome because our goal is always to make states as close to a national level feel as you could get. And those national events used to be held in hotels and ballrooms. And I don't think that they're planning on going back to that, but it would be cool if they did, because it is a different feel,
Right.
than like being in like a big open, like the Arnold is different because there is a chandelier there. It is
Yeah.
kind of like its thing. But I was looking at like the AO2 ones, and
I was also looking at that, and I was like, that is a very interesting
yeah,
kind of
there's a lot of
setup.
empty seats.
Yeah,
Would that be jarring for you if you came out
I think
and you
so.
saw no one is there? Would that be weird?
Just because of the way that it was laid out too, like it was like stadium seating, like it would,
Yeah,
because it was going up, it kind of seemed like you were like in a coliseum, but like a lot of the seats are empty. I think it would be a little jarring.
yeah. Nationals had seating like that too, but they were like the roll-in bleacher
Hmm.
seatings, and they were relatively filled. I was surprised. I was like, where are all the people watching? I don't know. Spectators didn't come out for that one, or maybe it's just a product of just having too many seats and people are way too spread out and it
Yeah,
looks emptier than it actually is. But yeah, it would be cool if they got back to like the ballroom style, because like when you're in it is different too. Like when I'm like dressed up, it does feel different being in like a ballroom with a carpet and a chandelier and everything versus being in like one of those convention centers.
hmm,
Like I almost feel more out of place in the blue suit in like an arena like that than I
yeah,
do in like the more intimate, prestigious looking setting of the ballroom. I don't know. Does that
yeah.
make sense?
No, for sure.
It's like it doesn't match the aesthetics. They don't match each other
Hmm.
for some reason. So but yeah, it'll be great. And yes, we all have to stay healthy now. I am getting a lot of right now is the time where I'm getting a lot of emails, and they're one of two things. They're, hey, I'm going up a weight class. I've had so many emails come in. I'm even debating about it myself. And the other one is, I have to withdraw because I tweaked something
Hmm.
or I'm not feeling well and stuff like that. So yeah, those are the two things that are coming in that are either dropping people out or reshuffling the board on the weight classes. Because a lot of people signed up in June or May, they had their summer bods going on,
Yeah,
and now everyone's settling into fall hoodie weather, and probably their diet is in accordance to that versus being primed for something else. So there are a lot of changes going on there.
yeah,
So it'll be interesting to see how the weight classes shuffle around. Like remember I told Alex, I said everyone's going plus.
yeah,
So the we are losing 109s. We have very few left, and it will be interesting. That will be so interesting if that session just turns into only 109 pluses.
yeah. I mean, yeah, why not?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Why not? At the seminar, that was one of the things that Donnie said that he's noticed lately across the board on weightlifters. He said so many people are focusing too much on their weight class instead of just lifting where they are and being heavier and focusing more on the total and the weight. It's like just get the total and the weights up as high as possible. But a lot of people are like making it too habitual of the thing of cutting for every meet, and the strength isn't aligning with that. And it's like, why do you need to have that stress on your body? You're not trying to go to worlds or something else.
Yeah,
You're trying to qualify for the AO2. Like, is the AO2 or those other meets, are they worth cutting for?
hmm,
Especially if you're not in medal contention.
right.
It's like why would you do that? Like if I was going to the Arnold and whatnot, and let's say I was going to get in somehow, why would I bother cutting? If I'm 20th in line, like that doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense. Why would I put that stress on my body? Why wouldn't I just keep training and be strong? So it is interesting. Him and John were talking about that on how the weight classes are different now. You have 109 to 109 plus,
hmm,
and across the field, people are not lifting close to the weights that Donnie was lifting when the weight classes were 105, 105 plus, and he was a 105.
that's yeah. Maybe that's even something we can talk about at a later time because I've been looking into that as well. With just like certain lifters, it's like, ooh, you used to be like, yeah, the numbers at like 105 or 85 were amazing, but then you change the weight classes, and then people have to go 10, 102, either drop down to 102 or go 109 plus if you're going for the Olympics. And, you know, it's putting people in weird spots with like how much they can actually do and like what bodies for certain size people like naturally sit at. Like,
Yeah.
are the extra 4 kilos to get you as an 89 really helping your total, or is it just making your body like bulk up more? Like Tian Tao, um, he was I think 85, and then when 96 was the Olympic class, he went up to 96, and he talked about how it changed his grip because his hands were like meteor, and like his numbers really didn't change that much going up to 96 because his body just wasn't where it wanted to be.
He's like swollen now.
Yeah, essentially. So yeah, that is interesting. Where everyone should just like sit where you are, build up a total, and then like, all right, let's say you completely clear that qualifying total for the weight class below you. You're like way ahead of it. Then maybe you can make the decision of like, all right, now does it make sense to cut because I know I can hit that total at a meet and then whatever. But yeah, the whole cutting, I was even seeing the difference between my body this year and last year, where it's just like even in the summer before like the cut even starts, just knowing that a cut is coming up changes how everything goes. And
Yeah.
the fluctuations as well, like your body's just not comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, your hormones are going to change. I was I was talking to Haley earlier about some things, and I mentioned to her that, you cut down 10 kilos and now your start position is different. Like you go down there and normally when your belly would hit your arms, it's not there anymore. You're like, wait a minute, that was my cue that I was in the right spot. I remember when I was always 85, and I had like the typical weightlifter build, like I had my nice arms. Like I'm also like looking at myself in the videos. I'm like, oh, I gotta get those arms back. Like, and like I had like the power belly, not like a fat belly, but like a like the
Yeah.
weightlifter's belly. They all got them. And then when I started like playing around carnivore for the first time, and I was just focusing on just diet, and I dropped down to 160 pounds, and like I was like, I don't know where to be. I feel like I'm sinking super low in my start position because it always used to be there used to be things in the way,
Yeah.
and you would just feel them, and that also helped me get braced, like bracing against your own body and then pull. Now I'm like, there's space between my arms and my torso, and I don't know what to do with that. So yeah, it changes a lot of things. Be interesting to talk about further, and a lot of people are starting to notice. I wonder if they will. Do you think they'll change the weight classes? There's been like rumors about it. Let's just
Um,
go back to 77, 85, 94. Like I miss those weight classes. I really do.
yeah. The from what I've been reading and like watching, people are also in between because they're like everyone hates these current weight classes, but you can't change it on people again. At least give them a couple cycles to like, all right, this is the weight class. Like, feel comfortable here, figure out how that looks in like body composition for you and like all that stuff. Cause they're like, we hate the classes now, but if you change it again, it'll probably be even worse for people.
Yeah. Do you think it will? I mean, do you think now's the time? The Olympics are done. Maybe I know there's worlds and other. Is there? Yeah, there's got to be worlds, right?
Yeah, there's worlds this year.
So there's worlds. So January 1st, 2025. Hey guys, we're back. You know, uh, 77, 85, whatever. And then this is going to be it for the next two Olympic cycles. Like we're not going to think about changing it again until 2032. But they probably won't because the reason they changed before was because of all the drug stuff, and they were
Yeah.
trying to keep it in the Olympics. And right now, I don't think there's that problem. We need that. All right, we need that problem back. Some people are going to have to put the team on their back and get us enough sanctions to warrant doing it. It's probably not going to happen. I don't know. There's something about these weight classes that I don't know if this makes sense. They don't excite me for some
Yeah,
reason.
they feel off.
The number, like like 89. Whenever I see 89, I'm like, ugh. Like there's something about 85. I was like, yeah, that's the class,
Mm-hmm.
77. And it's probably because those numbers had history with them.
Yeah.
You know, the lifters I used to follow, they had the records, American record, world record. These were like legendary lifts done in these class. I know we've had that happen with these new ones, but it still just doesn't feel the same. It feels
Yeah.
like the sport lost like some of its soul
Mm-hmm.
with, which is, it's kind of weird to think about it. The sport lost some of its soul with cutting out the performance enhancing drugs. Like that's kind of like I was thinking about what am I saying here, and like that kind of feels a little bit of what I'm saying, but like it's weird because like history went away with some of those classes, and even though we have new history, it just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
I don't know how you fix that. It's not even a problem on anyone's radar other than for some people like us noticing it. But I think you have to think about it though in like the longevity of the sport. Like it's like we were saying earlier, people are not rising up to the level of what was equivalent to the old classes. That's got to be some kind of a problem, I imagine. So I don't know. Well, everybody did great at the seminar.
Nice.
It was good to see Jon again. Good to see Donnie again. It was for me, it was kind of like a good motivator going into like a first meet back, because like it was almost like a flashback. Like all of a sudden I'm standing in the room filming Jon teach the hit and catch drill again. And I'm like, wait a minute, what year is it? Is it 2013? Like, how did this happen? You know, it'd been 10 years since I've seen Donnie in person, because in 2014 is when I took his seminar at Warwick Weightlifting Club in Warwick, New York. So it's like, it was like just like a big flashback. So it's like it almost felt like, oh, all right, we are back. Like it was like I needed it. Like without this seminar, it just still feels weird. It feels too much. It felt like the old weight classes versus without this seminar, it feels like the same. It's a new weight class. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right. So it was good to see all those guys again, see them do stuff, talk about stuff. I don't know if this is a compliment or not. I took it as offense when first said. I was talking to Frank's lifters, and I can't remember what it was. And I was like, oh, someone was talking about switching to squat jerk, and I'm like, oh, I've had this conversation before, and I'm like, why would you? I was like, why would you do that? We're 3 weeks out from states now. It's not the time to do that. And like, yeah, but it might be fun. Like, maybe we'll switch to squat jerk when I'm like, are you trying to? You make Frank mad right now? Have you talked to Frank about this? and they're like, no, but we're talking to you about this. I'm like, why? Talk to Frank about this. He's your coach. And they're like, yeah, but you're like our grand coach. And I was like, and it was like funny, but then I was like, wait a minute, like that, like now you're making me feel old, and that pisses me off. Like that, like I've never been called a grand anything before, you know, and so it's like, if you think about it, the grandfather is like, that's the old man. And I was like, yeah. And so it's like that Michael Jordan meme. And I took offense by that. You know, it's like, I'm like, all right, well, I can't burn down this gym because it's Frank's gym, but I'm not happy about this.
No, that is funny to like say it that way, because it does make sense kind of, where like Frank's lifters are like kind of like our like second cousins. Like it's like a weird like relation thing where it's like Frank's on our team, but he's also your coach. But also, it's fun. That's funny.
Yeah, it is fun. It's like a big. It's fun to think about the big little weightlifting family. You know, whatnot. We all get together at meets and see each other and stuff like that, or seminars. They're definitely the extended family, and really, there's not. Yeah, that's the only other club we have this kind of familial relationship with at the moment, unless I'm forgetting something. Yeah. Trace out there in Texas, but he's on our team and he doesn't really train with any other things. So yeah. But yeah, I thought at first I thought it was funny, and then I took offense, not in like a big way or anything. It was actually as I was driving home, I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh, that was funny, but there's like something about it in the back of my head, and I'm like, oh, that also means old man, and I'm like, I'm not even 40 yet, man. Like, back off. So I was driving, and it's almost like when you get the joke way later, and I'm just driving and I'm like swerve a little bit, like, oh, I got it now, So yeah, that was good. Cool. Well, Miguel, I think that's good for today. Where can people follow you?
Still on Instagram at Couldn't Be Miguel.
Couldn't Be Miguel. Soon there'll be some new videos on there from state championships. Maybe a little highlight reel. We'll see.
Yeah.
Cool. Follow me, James A. McDermott. Follow the Barbell Club, Albany CrossFit Barbell Club. Follow the gym, Albany CrossFit. Follow the Barbell Club page, or the podcast page, the Barbell Strikes Back, even though there's nothing going on there. So many Instagram pages. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Miguel, I will talk to you again real soon.
Yeah.
Stream.